Coast Cosmos is a independently owned comic book shop. Coast Cosmos started out as a concept turned into a fully actualized business in August of 2020, which was right in the middle of the pandemic. We couldn't open up a brick and mortar space during that time, so we started out as an e-commerce website selling comics, graphic novels, manga, shirts, games. I would describe it as your typical, not typical comic book shop. Our one degree of differentiation is because we are an independently Black-owned comic book shop, we also feature a lot of independent and major comic books that feature Black and brown characters, writers and artists, as well as gender non-conforming, non-binary, LGBTQ, any and everybody that is not your typical straight white male character. That is important because what we have often seen within the comic book narrative, what is the quote unquote typical comic book fan, have been straight white dudes just going around serving as the template for the comic book enthusiast, the comic book fan, the comic book creative, when that's not always the case. Spider-Man was literally the very first comic book that I ever read. My dad bought my brother and I comic books one day, and it was the one that I related to because as a kid I was, kind of nerdy, kind of bookish, loved to read, loved science, loved, art and all that kind of stuff. Peter Parker kind of spoke to me. I chose Third Ward because Third Ward has always had a really strong connection for me and always felt like the epicenter of Black culture. And I wanted to bring my love and passion for comic books and arts and literature into a place and a space where I knew that it would be well received. We carry major and independent comic books, major titles like Marvel and DC, independent titles from like Boom Studios, and other individuals that are local as well. This comes from me being a kid, loving comic books and fantasizing about having my own comic book shop. The response itself was really, really good. Very, very positive. We have not had any negative feedback whatsoever. I think it comes from the understanding that our choice of providing the types of comic books that we provide comes from a place where we are expanding the narrative. We're not partitioning anybody off. This is just to say, it's like, hey, there's more out there for people to explore. And if you're down, we're here to show you some things. Definitely, as like our customer base are comic book fans, but we get a lot of people that are just curious about what does a Black-owned comic book shop look like? What kind of vibe is that? And they come in and not necessarily wanting to buy a comic book, they may just leave out with a t-shirt or something else that is comic book related or pop culture centered. Because comic books are a medium, not a genre, I would say they definitely come a long way, but there's always room for improvement. I definitely see myself as helping to improve the representation. The reason why I see myself and everybody that walks into the shop, anybody that works in the shop, we literally serve as brand ambassadors for the expansion of what the comic book culture looks like today. My message to anybody out there, if you are a creative, get creating, tell your story. There's somebody out there that's going to like what you have to say.